Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of scenario-based software testing interview questions and answers. And in this video, I'm going to cover another 4 very important scenario-based or real-life software testing interview question and answers that will be really helpful for fresher or experienced candidates who are looking to get into software testing or switch the job if you're already working. So let's go ahead and see what all questions we are going to cover in this particular part 2 video. So the first question that we are going to cover is what are cookies and how to test cookies, right? Very important. And this question basically, so I'm not going to explain only theoretical, but I'll also give a brief demo of what exactly cookies are and how you can basically go ahead and test it if you're not sure about it. Then the sixth question, so 4 questions I have already covered in part 2, so another in part 1, so another 4 are part of the part 2. So sixth question will be, if the software is currently in production and one of the code module is modified, will you retest the whole application associated with that module, right? Another very important question which is tweaked a little bit, so I'll explain about this with example. Then I'll explain about, do you agree that the tester should study or read design documents for writing test cases, right? Another scenario based question which will help you practically as well in your jobs. Then another question is, what are some of the testing tools that you have used in your past project? Very important. If you have already worked in some testing projects and you have some sort of experience, you might be asked this particular question. Or if you are a fresher, it might be tweaked a little bit, something like, what all testing tools are you aware of or have you used in the past, be it in your project or be it in your training, if you have mentioned the training portion in your resume. So let's quickly go ahead and understand the first question, what are cookies and how to test cookies, right? So when we say cookies, right, so they are basically the browser cookies, okay? And what exactly are cookies? So cookies is nothing but a small piece of text file, right, or text that is sent to your browser by various websites that you visit. For example, you would have noticed many websites nowadays, they have started popping up the cookie acceptance pop-up, right? Do you accept all the cookies, right? Or do you want to customize? So there are options that you can go ahead and customize what all cookies that you want to accept, only necessary cookies, or you accept all the cookies, or you can customize it, right? So what exactly that pop-up is all about? So that pop-up is all about that you actually accept the website that you're visiting, that web server, wherever that website is hosted, they might send, or they send a small piece of text file or text that is sent from the server to your browser, and that's stored on your local machine. So if you're accessing it from the mobile phone, it can be stored in your mobile phone. If it is your computer, your laptop, it will be somewhere in the hard drive, right? So that's the first and foremost thing about cookies. Now cookies, what is the role of it? So cookies help websites to remember the information about your visit to the website, right? So this cookies become really important because, say for example, you are doing online shopping, right? So real example, I'll show with the demo as well. But if you're doing online shopping, go to Amazon.com, go to any of the Flipkart.com or eBay.com, you add items to the cart, right? Even if you're not logged in, you add multiple items to the cart and then close the website. All right, next day you open the same browser and go and open ebay.com, your cart will be persisted, right? So how does eBay know that you on your machine had accessed eBay, right? And then you have added certain items into the cart. How does it know? It knows based on this text that is sent to your machine, which is cookie. And cookie, when you added the item in the cart, that information is stored in the cookie. It's in the form of text, and that text gets stored on your machine, especially at the browser location. So when you reopen the browser next day or 2 days after, right? So then the same information is pulled from the cookie that you had added some items in the cart, and that cart is still shown, right? So that's one of the user scenario or use case of the cookie. There are many use cases, right? Now, if we talk about how you are going to test the cookies, right? So there are many ways, but in terms of interview questioning and answers, you can mention, I'll disable the cookies in the browser and see how the website behaves. I will delete the cookie, right? So when I launch a website, whatever cookies will be generated, I'll delete those and see the behavior, right? I'll corrupt the cookies. I'll make the data corrupt of the cookie that is stored in the text file. I can reject the cookie, right? And there are security settings that go into the cookies, and there are the two important things. There are many types of cookie, but two important one to remember is that the persistent cookie and the session cookie. So when we say session cookies just last until the session is there, right? So for example, I logged into Amazon.com. As soon as I log off from Amazon.com, those cookies, the session cookies that will be stored or sent as a text file on a computer or a browser, that will get deleted. Okay, these are the session cookies. But then persistent cookies will be the cookies that have a expiry, that have a set expiry, 7 days, 60 days, 30 days, depending on what web server sets it for. For example, for cart items, I believe it will be like almost 30 days, right? So it depends what web server sets it, or whichever website you are trying to access, what their setting is all about. So this is briefly about persistent cookies. Then we have many other third-party cookies as well, right? So the advertisements that you see on a particular website, right? So they are served from the third-party services, so they are third-party cookies. So let's quickly see how we are going to test it practically, right? This is all theoretical, all good, but then how we actually go ahead and test it. So the first scenario, for example, disabling the cookies, deleting cookies, corrupting cookies, or rejecting cookies, right? So let's quickly understand some of the scenarios that you can give to your interviewer. Okay, so there are many third-party add-ons available for the browser as well. So for example, if you just go in the browser and search for apps, okay, so let me go for extensions, okay, I'll say manage extensions. So if I search for cookie, okay, now this is Edge browser, so we'll search for add-ons, okay, so Edge add-ons, and I'll say cookie. Let's say if you have cookie manager here, so cookie editor, right? There are multiple that you can see. So I can add cookie editor, okay, whichever, and in different browser you might be having different add-ons available, but I'll show you directly from the browser through the dev tools how you can basically go ahead and do similar sort of stuff with the cookies. Okay, so add-ons will be a bit easy and helpful, okay, but if you don't have add-ons, you can still go ahead and do it through the developer tools. Okay, before that, let me access a website, okay, and I'll show you about the cookie pop-up message, right, that I was discussing. So if I go ahead and open Miro.com here, okay, so looks like cookie message or all cookie has been accepted already. Let me go ahead and delete the cookies. Okay, so I'll simply go to just say settings and then cookies and site permissions, and I will manage and delete site data, and I'll say see all cookies, and I'll say remove all and clear. So all the cookies that were stored here in the Edge have been removed. Okay, let me close and let me open the Edge browser, and I'll access Miro.com again. Okay, so you see this pop-up, right? So this is basically the pop-up that most of the websites nowadays will pop you up to accept the cookies, right? Now, what exactly these cookies? These are the files that get stored on your local machine, and this is the file that contains the information. There could be many information. For example, you are adding items to cart, or you are navigating through the website you are trying to purchase, right? So there could be many use cases and scenarios wherein the information can get stored. And if you say accept all cookies, that means all the cookies that will be sent through Miro.com will be basically stored in the Edge browser location, wherever the location for the Edge browser cookie is on your machine. Okay, now how we can see what all cookies are and how you can basically go ahead and accept and reject and do the browser settings and do the testing, right? So in each of the browser there is a dev tool. So if you press Ctrl+Shift+I on Windows, it will open this dev tool, right? And if you don't see this more tools, right, so if you click on more tools, you will see the application. If you don't see application here, it will be in the more tools here. If you go to application, you will see the cookie section here. Okay, and if you drop down the cookie, you will see different cookies for this particular website, right? So even though I haven't accepted all cookies, still there are some cookies that have been by default sent, right, from the Miro.com server. And these are the small text files. So if you see the value here, right, so if I say go ahead and see the value, so it has the value, the timestamp, and then if you see the important bit here is the expiry of this cookie, right? So if you just hover over, you will be able to see when this particular cookie will expire, right? Now because you have accessed this particular website server, Miro.com server, wherever this website is hosted, they have sent this particular file and it's stored on your machine. And as per the expiry that you see here, this file will be only deleted after expiry or until you go ahead and manually go ahead in the browser and clear all the cookies, right? So these are some of the test cases, right? So for example, I go ahead and accept all cookies. Okay, I'll say accept all cookies. You will see there were more cookies that were basically, quickly, it was a quick flash, but there were more cookies that were sent and stored here, right? You will see these are so this is from the ad server, right? This is double click, these are the ad server. So these are third-party cookies that will be basically served in case if ads are being served here, right? So here if you see others, there are no cookies at the moment, but if I go Miro.com, these are the cookies. So what I can do is I can basically, in order to test it, I can change the value, I can delete the cookies. So basically I can go ahead and clear all the cookies, right, and then refresh. Okay, so I have cleared all the cookies, and then I can see when I reload, all the cookies are being reloaded, right? If I go ahead and go to ebay.com, say for example, I'll say ebay.com. Okay, let me show you the cart example. So here you will see the cookie is now from ebay.com, right? The server is ebay.com. I have accessed eBay, and these are all cookies that have been served by eBay. Now if I go to, say for example, I go to this particular product and I say add item to the cart. Okay, I say add to cart, and you can see how many different cookie domains are added here and the values that will be added, right? So I'll say go to cart. Okay, and you will see that there is one item in the cart. All right, now if I go to cart.ebay.com, these are all the cookies, and you can see the expiry. Now this is the session cookie. If it says session, then this JSession ID is basically session cookie. As soon as this session will end, this particular cookie will get deleted, but then rest all have the expiry, and as per the expiry they will get deleted unless you manually go ahead and delete it, right? So now if I close this, I can see that there is an item in the cart. Okay, now let me close this browser. Okay, and you would have noticed this many times already. So now I have closed the Edge browser, I have opened the Edge browser again. Okay, and I'll type in ebay.com again. Okay, I wasn't logged into eBay, I just added the item. Okay, and then close the browser and open the browser again. Okay, and you will see the item, or the item that I have added, is already there. Now where is this information? Where is this information coming from? I am not logged in, and then I have added the item, but it still shows. This is what cookie maintains, right? So this information is maintained into the cookie that is being stored, right? So this is basically one of the another scenario that you can go ahead and test. So you add item to the cart and then close the browser, then clear all the cookies. Okay, so for example, if I come here, okay, and let me go to settings and let's clear all the cookies, and let me say, you'll see these are different cookies, right? So ebay.com, so let me remove all. All right, I'll clear all, go back to ebay.com and reload it. Now this cart has been emptied, right? So this is another test case. All right, so many test cases. Now the other test case could be, I go to the settings here, right? So I'll say cookies, I'll go back, let me go back here, and I'll say allow sites to save and read cookie data. Okay, I'll disable it. All right, so this won't allow the cookies to be saved at all, right? And then preload pages for faster browsing and search. So use cookies to remember your preferences. So for example, if you have some preferences have been set up in a particular website, cookies, that is also maintained into the cookies. So I have disabled this. Okay, now let me close this browser, open Edge browser again, open ebay.com again, and now I'm not accepting any cookies. All right, so if I go ahead, I have disabled cookie in the browser. Okay, I'll say add to cart, and this item, let me do the captcha, let me access again, let me add one item, go to cart. So here you can see now we are blocking 20. So since cookies are being blocked, right, so this site is not working. When I'm going to add the items to the cart, it's not going to work at all. All right, now let me go ahead and enable cookies. Okay, so I'll go to settings again, and let's enable and see if it starts functioning properly. So let me go and say cookies, manage, and I'll say allow, right? So allow all cookies, close this browser, close it, open Edge again, and I'll say again ebay.com and try to add the item. I'll say go to cart, and you'll see this time, right, after the captcha verification, I can see the item has been added to the cart, right? So these are some, very basic cookie test cases that you can basically explain in your interview. Okay, so first thing is disabling cookie in the browser, enabling cookie in the browser, deleting cookies, and then checking the behavior, then corrupting cookies or rejecting cookies, right? And then there are many other techniques for cookie testing. You can use the dev tools of each of the browsers. So Control-Shift-I. Okay, so if you go to any browser, it doesn't matter, it is basically Firefox. So if I say open Firefox, and once Firefox opens, if you press Control-Shift-I on Windows machine, so if I say Control-Shift-I, it will open the developer tool, and you have to go to the application, right? Sorry, go to the storage, and in the cookies, you will see the cookies that are stored here. Okay. If it is Edge, you will press Control-Shift-I, and in Edge you need to go to the application, and in the Chrome browser as well, it will be available below the application. You can add third-party add-ons to Edge, to Firefox, wherever there are many available in Chrome as well to manage cookies, and it will be listing cookies in a much better way. So name, value, etc., the expiry, everything, and you can edit and use those add-ons to edit and make those cookies invalid and see the behavior of the website, right? So these are some of the basic test cases that you can explain in your interview when somebody asks what are cookies and how you are going to test cookies. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. So the next question is, if the software is currently in production and one of the code module is modified, will you retest the whole application or just test the functionality associated with that module? Okay, so this is a very important question, and this is kind of a question wherein the interviewer wants to ask or understand how will you approach, okay, how will you approach testing if there is something that has been modified. Okay, now the software is already in the production, consumers are using it. Okay, so in this particular case, what interviewer is asking is that if only one module of that particular application has been updated, okay, or changed, or something has been, there was a defect, the defect has been fixed, or new functionality has been added. So the first thing you have to ask the interviewer is basically, is this the impact of this module, right? So when we say impact of this module, so you can ask what level of impact this module has, or is this module impacting a lot of other features of the application, right? What is the importance of this module? Because unless and until you know how much, what is this the core module or is it impacting the whole system, you won't be able to decide how much testing you need to do, right? So there is one module, and if this module impacts 10 different modules or is related to 10 different modules of the application, then you are going to test that module, regression test that module, as well as regression test all other 10 modules wherever the integration or impact might be. Okay, so basically, say for example, this is one module, okay, this is one module, and the change has been made, but there any other functionality of the application that is there, right? somehow or the other there is a bit of communication and interaction with this particular module. Okay, so this is kind of a core module. If this is a core module that has been changed, in that case you have to regression test all other impacted areas, right? So you have to also make sure that you are testing the interaction with between all the modules that are interacting with this particular module along with this module. Okay, but in case this is not the module, okay, this is the core module, okay, this is the core module, but then there are other modules which are more of a independent. Okay, so this module is interacting with the core module, okay, and then there is a module that is interacting only with this particular module. Okay, and if developer says that this is kind of independent and only has interaction, and the change that is being done here in this module won't impact anything in this here, in this, so it's not going to impact anywhere else. Okay, because it's more of an independent that has only interaction with this particular module, then in that case you just test this module as well as the communication and interaction with between the module that it is related to, right? So in that case your regression testing will be confined. So this answer to this question depends on the level of interaction and communication that happens or integration between the module of the module that is being changed, right? So this is a question for a regression. So basically this is a different way to ask about the regression testing, right? So how will you decide what all regression is required in a particular application, right? So in order to decide what all regression is required in a particular application, you need to understand how much impact that change has on that module, and is that module a core module that has relationship with 10-15 different other modules of the application. If that's the case, you are going to test a comprehensive regression strategy there. Okay, if not, then you can do a selective regression strategy. Okay, so this is how you are going to answer this particular question. Okay, let me erase. Now let's move on to the next question. So the next question is, do you agree that the tester should study design documents for writing test cases? Now the short answer to this question is absolutely yes. Okay, why do tester need to read the design document? Okay, so when we say design document, okay, let's mark it. So when we say design document, so design document will be high level design, and then we have low level design document. Okay, now high level design document, what exactly goes into the design document? These are the documents that are created by the solution designers, which have the detailed explanation of the whole software ecosystem. Okay, for example, you are building a payment solution. Okay, you are building payment, okay, payment module, which will accept all type of payments. Okay, so you can accept, credit cards, you can accept debit cards, you can accept credit card, and then you have, a functionality for PayPal. You have other functionalities as well to accept, cryptocurrencies as well. So this payment module is what you have been working on. Now when this payment module is integrated with other application, okay, so for example, there is a company that is building a learning management solution for a particular coaching center. Okay, coaching center, and coaching center basically sells online courses, live classes, right? So if that's the case, then this payment module will be interacted, and then this design document, what this design document will do is, high level design document will have the high level architecture of how the courses will be published, how the teacher module will be created, the security part of it, the interaction, the integration between the payment module, between all other different modules that are being that will be available in that particular. So for example, teacher module, student module, right? Video section, video upload, quizzes. So these are different modules. How everything ties together to make this a system as a whole, so that student can come in, sign in, register, sign in, then do the learning. Okay, they can watch the videos, they can submit the assignment, do the assignment. So all of this journey end to end, basically how the solution will be built, okay, technically, right? This is not a requirement document, this is more of a design, how each module will interact with the other module, the database, right? What will be the sort of a UI, and then UI, how UI interacts, so what will be the APIs that will be in picture. So that all goes into the high level design. So this design document gives us a very clear idea what all systems are there, modules are there, what are third party systems are there, right? This payment module could be the third party module, third party system that this particular learning management is using. So when you go through this high level design document as a tester, you will get an understanding of the ecosystem of the whole software that you are going to test. Okay, now what goes into the low level design document? Now in low level design document, the design is elaborated into lower details. For example, API. So if there are 20 APIs that are being developed as part of this whole solution, each API what it will do, right? So each API will be defined here with all the details, with Swagger documentation and all other payload details, etc., into the low level design document. So reading and understanding high level design and low level design. So high level design will give you a holistic picture of the application, which will help you to write end-to-end test cases, right? Which will help you to write the integration test cases between different modules of the application, end-to-end test cases of the whole user journey. Low level design document will help you to understand the lower level integration detail between modules, API details, what all payload you need to put, what all response error codes that you need to test, right? So understanding and reading, studying low level design document and high level design document is absolutely necessary for any tester to basically write good test cases, right? Testing is not just about getting that end user interface, okay, graphical user interface, and then putting some fields and then going through the customer journey and ensuring that everything works as is, right? Testing is a lot more than that. It is basically ensuring that you are collaborating within the team, understanding the design document. If there are any flaws, any gaps in the design document, you are providing your input. If there are any any information that is missing in the low level design document, for example, there is some attribute that you think that should be, that is not mentioned as per specification, you as a tester can help to rectify those issues. And understanding these documents will help in writing the test case better, so integration and end-to-end test cases in much better way. So it is absolutely necessary, and I totally agree that testers should study design document for writing test cases, right? So this is a little bit lengthy answer, unfortunately, but you can refine it accordingly, that why yes, it is absolutely necessary, and why it is necessary, because it will help testers to understand the whole ecosystem, write good integration test cases, because tester will then understand the communication between the module, and also write end-to-end test cases and test in a better way. Okay, now moving to the last question of this part 2, what are some of the testing tools that you have used in your past projects? Okay, so some of the testing tools that you have used. So it doesn't matter you are a fresher or experienced, you might be asked this particular question. If you are an experienced candidate, what you can start with, yes, in my previous project, whatever tools you have used, right, you would have used some test management test management tool. Okay, so for example, you can say, yeah, I have used X-ray plugin. So there is a test management, so X-ray for Jira, okay, for test management, okay, which is a plugin within Jira for test management. Or if you have used Zephyr, you can mention that. So Zephyr plugin in Jira for test management. So all our test management was done within Jira itself. So I have used Jira, I have used X-ray or Zephyr for test management, I have used Confluence for all the documentation of the testing artifact. So we used to maintain, say for example, you can say we used to maintain all the test cases into X-ray, right, and then all the test plan and everything into the Confluence, right. Apart from that, if you have used or you have worked on any automation, so you can say I have used Selenium with Python or Java, whichever you have used, okay, but make sure that you mention any tools that you have used, right? Not only these common tools, Zephyr, X-Ray, Confluence, Jira, Selenium with Java, but any specific tool that is relevant to your project. Okay, for example, in my project I had the specific code management tool, for example version control tool. Say for example you have used Bitbucket. Okay, so you can say, yeah, I have used Bitbucket for maintaining all the code, automation code that was there. I have used Jenkins, okay, for a CI/CD. Okay, and then apart from that, say for example you haven't used any of these, don't mention this. If you are a fresher, make sure that you have learned a little bit about Jira, a little bit about X-Ray, Confluence, right? Understanding the basics of these tools is not a problem at all. You can learn any of the open source test management tools, for example TestLink, right? And you can mention those as well. All right, but most of these tools will solve similar sort of purpose. If it is a test management tool, you can either use X-Ray, Zephyr, or TestLink, TestRail, etc. If it is an automation tool, you can use Selenium with Java, or there are I think 20, 30, maybe 50 plus tools that are available in the market. There are so many automation tool and specific automation tool for specific problems and specific applications as well. So get a list of what you have worked on and make sure that you mention those tools whenever somebody asks for it. If you're a fresher, you can just mention the tools that you have either learned into your course, testing course, as a part of syllabus or as a part of internship. So I think that's all for this particular video. I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much for watching.